Hello there, how are you? I'm Blackbright. Welcome to my channel. Lovely to see you all again. Um, if you want to put the thumbs up, thumbs down, subscribe, share, like, all of that kind of stuff. As you seem to be liking my videos to do with self-help, I thought I'd do another one. I'll still do my little bits about politics and if I see anything about unfairness. But for now, I'm just going to touch on subjects that, that resonate with me and I hope resonate with you, and especially areas where I have experienced what I'm talking about. It just makes it easier because I know what it feels like and therefore I can share that with you. So we're going to be talking about the silence treatments today. I don't know how many of you have experienced the silent treatment. It doesn't feel very good if you really care about that person or if you're emotionally involved with that person. If you don't, sorry, let me close this to switch it off because I don't want to be disturbed. Okay, power off. Don't know why somebody's calling me now, but yes, sorry about that. So basically, what we're going to be talking about today is the silent treatment. And it's something that doesn't feel very nice if you're emotionally involved with someone. If you don't give a toss about the person, you're not going to feel any way at all. But when you care about someone and they don't talk to you and it goes on, for an unhealthy amount of time, then you have to wonder what's going on in that relationship. Now, for the most part, if a man does it to a woman, it's a power play. It's a way of training her to get her to do what he wants her to do. It's a way of enabling her to take the blame for something that he has done and that he feels guilty or embarrassed about. So what he'll do usually is give you the silent treatment. So you end up questioning yourself if you've got low self-esteem and if you have low self-worth and you feel a bit insecure, you're going to end up thinking to yourself, oh, maybe I shouldn't have said anything. Why did I bring it up? Maybe I should have left things alone. I can't stand him not speaking to me. I can't stand it. And when a man doesn't speak to you, especially when they know that you're in love with them, it's a form of emotional and psychological abuse. And a lot of women go through that. I'm going to come to the part where it switched later on. But I'm talking about men who give women the silent treatment for now. I mean, they can be narcissists. I think narcissists tend to drag it out for a long period of time, whereas a regular guy who's just angry and upset might do it for the maximum 72 hours. If they do it for longer than 72 hours, you know you're dealing with a narcissist. Sad to say, but it's true. So, why do people go silent? Well, or why do people go silent? Usually it's because of power. It's also a cop-out. They don't want to address the situation. They don't want to communicate what's wrong, or they don't want to try to resolve it. They want you to come down to their terms. So they give you the silent treatment, hoping that they'll have the power over you, and you'll turn around and say, oh, I want you to talk to me. Please talk to me. I'm sorry. I didn't mean to do this. I shouldn't have said that. Oh, I don't like it when you don't talk to me. I feel so upset. I feel abandoned. I feel rejected. It feels awful. Oh, please talk to me, please. The worst thing you can do is that. So that is what you do. You end up feeding their ego. When you if you get yourself in that position where somebody is giving you the silent treatment and you break down because you can't stand it, you know that you're in a place where you really need to build up your self-esteem. You really need to build up your self-worth. You need to nurture yourself so you don't need that validation. You don't need that person who is ignoring you. And when they ignore you, it's a form of rejection. It's a form of dissing. It's disrespectful people. And it's like, you don't even matter. You don't even count. I don't have to speak to you. You're nothing to me. That's what the message is when somebody ignores you. Now, I was in a relationship. I think I did a video on it, and I forget what the video was called, but I went through that. I had pulled someone up about not communicating about their length of stay. I'd given them, a roof over their head, or what I thought was a roof over their heads, and it got to a point where I didn't know how long that person was staying, and that person wasn't communicating anything to me. And I got a bit angry, and I challenged him. And I said, look, I'm really peed off with your behavior. You're monosyllabic. You're hardly saying anything. You're sitting in there and you're not saying anything. And I think it's totally inappropriate. And he kind of got a bit angry and, all of that. And then after he got angry and, started getting aggressive, he gave me the silent treatment. Now, by that time, I'd lost faith in him. I'd lost trust. I'd lost everything. Because as far as I was concerned, he wasn't communicating. I didn't feel as I could trust him anymore. So I switched off. And so when he was giving me the silent treatment, it was like a reprieve for me. I'd got to that point where I just didn't care anymore. It didn't matter anymore. I still cared about him, but I didn't care about the relationship. And that's how it got. And that's when we think about women who go silent, which is what I was going to talk about later. When women go silent, it's not a good thing. When men go silent, it's very out in the open. We know why they're going silent. It's control, it's power. They want to get you back on their side. It's their way of trying to protect their ego. So it's a totally different thing when a man goes silent. When a female goes silent, you've got to be wary. She is leaving emotionally. She no longer cares. She doesn't want to be bothered. She can't even be bothered to argue. Sometimes with men, they get fed up when women nag. They get fed up when women keep telling them what to do, telling them about this or that. Their shoes don't look right. Why don't you pick up that? Why don't you help me in the kitchen? Why don't you change that light bulb? Why don't you take the bin out? Men get peed off. But I tell you something. When a woman decides that she's not going to say anything to you about anything, she's stopped caring. And she's starting to planning. She's planning her move. And that's what women do. When they go silent, be very, very wary. Because women are totally different from men. When women care, they speak. When they don't care, they go silent. So that is the difference between a man going silent and a female going silent. Now, how does it feel for women when you're shut out? You feel powerless, you feel frustrated, you feel angry, you feel stubborn. That's if you're emotionally invested in the relationship. Like I said, if you've got to that stage where, he's gone quiet and you're kind of glad for the silence, then you're not going to have these senses of powerlessness and, you're not going to feel anything at all. But if you are emotionally invested in the relationship and you do want it to work, this is how you're going to feel: powerless, frustrated, angry, stubborn. You're going to want to do something. And so what you probably will do, you're going to address it and you're going to say to your partner, look, I really don't like the fact that you're not talking to me. I feel as though you're ignoring me. When you've had time, I'm here for you when you're ready to talk. The thing is with men and women, again, when a man goes silent on a woman, they don't use that time to reflect. It's a power play. However, when women go silent on men, they're using that time to reflect. They're thinking about everything you've done to upset them. They're thinking about whether or not it's worth it. And they're thinking, well, it's done A, B, and then everything comes to the fore. They think of everything from the year of naught. And as they're sitting there thinking and going silent, that is what they're thinking. They are detaching emotionally and physically. And once a woman detaches, it's very, very difficult to get her back, both emotionally and physically. There might be a little window where you might be able to pull her in, but if it's gone on for too long, it's too late. So sometimes when a man goes silent, is to provoke a reaction. Like I said, he does want that woman to say, why aren't you talking to me? I need you to talk to me. Don't just go silent. Let's talk about it. That's what they're waiting for. If a woman doesn't do that, and sometimes even if a woman was to do that, that man will probably still ignore her to punish her a bit longer, depending on what she's done, depending on how she's hurt him or bruised his ego. He'll determine when he decides to speak. Now, if he's in a situation where the woman is not talking to him and she doesn't seem bothered by the fact that he's not talking, he's more likely to break the silence. But as long as he feels as though the woman is yearning to speak to him, that silence is going to ensue indefinitely until he feels as though he's punished her enough, until he feels as though he's trained her enough, so that next time she won't confront him. Next time she won't talk about her boundaries. Next time she won't tell him what she doesn't like about what he's doing. She'll keep her mouth shut. And that's what he wants. Don't challenge me. That's indirectly what he's saying. Don't challenge me. If you challenge me, this is what you'll get. And it's really hard when women are kind of soft and, and those are the ones that usually fall victim to this kind of behaviour. It's not normally the strong women. It's normally the weak women. And sometimes when you get men to do the silent treatment, sometimes it's to test how strong this woman is. How much does she love me? That's sometimes what it is. It's a test. And sometimes that test is not successful. So, can you imagine going through the silent treatment during a lockdown? Can you imagine? Not very nice. So, sometimes silence is good if you're using it to cool down. Some people, like I said, some women use it to reflect. Some men may use it to reflect depending on how evolved they are. With narcissistic men, they're a bit more, masochistic. But a regular guy, he might think, I really need time out. I really need time to cool out. But like I said, 3 days, that's healthy. You need time to reflect for 3 days. Once it goes over the 3 days, it starts becoming unhealthy. Week, 2 weeks, 3 weeks, 4 weeks, definitely not good. So, and yes, sometimes, like I said, depending on your background, depending on how you were raised, this can really hit you hard. Silent treatment can really hit you hard. Can you imagine if you are one of those children who've had an adverse childhood experience and who's been abandoned or neglected? Can you imagine? And then you end up in a relationship with a narcissist who's ignoring you. And you end up feeling rejected and you end up feeling, discounted, ignored as though you don't even exist. Can you imagine how that would impact you if you'd experienced that as a child? I mean, it'd be like you're going crazy. And that's what I mean. Sometimes when men and women get together, they do not know each other's past. It's not even discussed, is it? I mean, and it's not something you've really talked to openly. I mean, white people do. I think they're quite open about their past. But black people are not so open. So you can meet somebody and you think, oh yeah, because they look a certain way, they're fine. And you don't know what that person has been through. And then you meet, and that person tends to attract the narcissist. The empath tends to attract the narcissist. So you've got that. It's like reinventing the wheel. So everything that person is trying to avoid, she ends up getting it. She ends up getting it tenfold with the person that she selected to be with. So can you imagine how vulnerable that person would be, and how that man, who, I don't like calling it a narcissist because not all men are narcissists, but how that man would have that woman under his control. And okay, in same-sex relationships, it could probably happen the same way. I don't really know much about them. I'm not really going to talk about them. I'm not going to add them in. But you know, if anybody like that, if any same-sex people are watching the video, I mean, you can take it whichever way you like. So, but I am actually talking about at the moment heterosexual relationships. So, because that's what I'm used to. Okay, so like I said, there's a healthy time to cool off after an argument before re-engaging, and you can use that time to reflect, respond, as opposed to react. Reaction is the worst, even though that is what's trying to be provoked. Silence is always to provoke a reaction. It's never for anything else. Unless, like I said, the two of you evolved. And even then, if the two of you were evolved, you're more likely to say, look, I'm going to take some time out. I just need some time to myself. Normally the word is, I need some space. Men always get worried when women say, I need some space. And for good reason. When woman needs her space, you gotta be careful. So, prolonged silence is detrimental for relationships. You need to get the partner to admit that they are ignoring you, and you can say, I'm ready to talk to you when you're ready. It is very immature. Silence is very immature, and it is an excuse not to engage a lot of the time. I mean, if you're with somebody who gets on your nerves and they go silent, sometimes you're grateful for the silence. But sometimes it reaches a point where you actually start missing the person. You actually want to communicate with that person. If the silence is too long, it's almost like being in a relationship but not being in a relationship, because what it can actually do is that it can actually build some kind of, it can reignite passion and emotion when you're not speaking to each other, because it's like the two of you are not together. And so it's going to almost be like stirring the passion through the silence, if that makes sense. And then there might be something where the two of you say something, or you might make the person laugh, or something might happen to break the silence, and you can reignite that relationship. But like I said, if it goes on too long, it's not good. So who gives in first? Men are very competitive. They don't want to give in first, you know, and very stubborn. You know, me not. I think I can talk first. Me not talk first. You, if you want to talk to me, you better come talk to me. I don't have anything to say. Come say it. You know what I mean? They ain't breaking the silence, love. The female, the woman, the nurturer, she's the one that'll say, oh baby, let's not be silly. Let's stop all this foolishness. Let's go out for a drink. And you see him, no, gone away. Oh, come on, babes. Come on. Let's just go for a drink. Wear my shoes, them there. And it's sorted. It's sorted. And it can happen like that if you care. If you don't care, it ain't going to happen. So when you're going silent on people, make sure you know that they care about you as much as you care about them. But there again, if you care about them, why would you be putting them through that? So obviously, it doesn't seem as though you care. So there is an expectation that the female will end the silence. And if she doesn't, it's going to put that person in a bind. They're not going to know what to do, are they? So, if it's bothering you, say so. Like I said, it's wasted on me because I'm that type of person. If you're not communicating with me, I just can't be asked. And I hate games. I hate games. I find some people, they play games or they don't talk to you because, they're playing a game. They're expecting you to call them, or they say, or they'll pretend that they don't want to see you when really they want you to say, oh, how am I going to see you then? I want to see you. That's all wasted on me, love. You play your games, I ain't playing. You just better speak out. You know what I mean? But anyway, pride, sometimes it's pride. They don't want to break the silence because of their pride. And they don't want, a lot of people don't want to admit that the silence is hurting them. They start it, but then when it goes on too long and the person isn't breaking that silence, it can begin to feel uncomfortable. So they don't want to be the first to give in because it would be seen as losing control. Silence is used as a weapon. They want you to feel upset. They want you to feel bad. They want you to be punished for hurting them. So ghosting is a little bit different from silent treatment. You know, when you hear about people ghosting, usually men ghost women, to be honest. And when they ghost a woman, it's when when they're really not interested in a woman anymore. They don't give any explanation. They just disappear. It's a bit like abandonment. Only I don't know if it's different because it's texting. You know, you're used to texting and then the person doesn't text anymore. I don't know if that's why they call it ghosting as opposed to abandonment. But that's it. That's basically what ghosting is. But the silent treatment, it's totally different. Silent treatment is what it says. You're just silent, but you're still in a relationship. And the whole point of punishing someone is that the man that does it, I'll say man for now, the man that does the silence, he's not going anywhere. It's not like he's silent and he wants to get rid of you and he doesn't want the relationship. Oh no, he wants to stay in that relationship and he wants to punish you by him being in that relationship and being silent. So that's the difference between ghosting and silent treatment. So they're hoping that when you go silent, when they go silent, you'll start thinking, oh, you start questioning yourself. Did I overreact? Should I have said it? Oh, why didn't I keep my mouth shut? Why didn't I just let him get away with it? Next time I'm not going to say anything. That is the reaction that they want from you. In that way, they've trained you well, like a good little doggy. Next time you won't say anything and they can get away with whatever it is they're getting away with that upset you, that you felt was disrespecting you, that you felt was overstepping your boundaries. You're going to compromise your boundaries and you're going to let them get away with whatever it was that upset you because you don't want the silent treatment. That's why I said it's about building up your self-worth, learning to love yourself. You don't need the endorsement from someone else. Your partner should not put you in a position where you need his or her endorsement. That should, it should just be an equal relationship where the two of you love and respect each other. It's not about endorsing or validating each other. It's about complementing each other. And it's not about competing. Two equals. That's how it should be. The two of you supporting each other, loving each other. So when the silent treatment comes in, it should only be in a healthy way where the two of you are just reflecting. And you might have said something silly and you have time to think about whether or not your behaviour was appropriate. And if it wasn't, you use that time to think about how you're going to speak to your partner and get things sorted out. That's how silence should be used. So, as opposed to forcing you to apologise for something you didn't do, for something that they've done. So, what else is there? Yeah, the silent treatment only works on those who lack confidence and who have low self-esteem. I've already said that. Silent treatment is to teach you a lesson. Don't fall for it. You're not a child. It's a very immature way to deal with it anyway. But you're not a child. You're not, you're not bloody 10 years old. It's absolutely ridiculous. Talk it out. You need to be able to express what's on your mind if you want the relationship to work. Own up to mistakes, work through them. Silence is to send a message. It's got to do with ego, it's got to do with stubbornness, and it's got to do with competitiveness, like I said. Silent treatment is abusive. If he is not leaving you and he's just keeping silent, that is narcissistic. It's a power play. And like I said, it only works with people with low self-esteem, but it can drive them crazy. It's very immature and very disrespectful because it's saying you don't exist, you don't matter. I can ignore you. You mean nothing to me. So, like I said, 72-hour rule. Silence should not go beyond 72 hours. When women go silent, she's thinking long and hard about what to do. She's contemplating her next move. She's had enough. She's speechless, angry. She's given up. It's not good. I'm terrible for that. Really, really bad for that. I don't know if I'm like, well, shouldn't say I'm not like that now, but because I haven't experienced that now recently. But in the past, when I go silent, forget it, mate. A woman can be happy and silent. She's tired of explaining herself. She stops caring. She can't be bothered to agree or disagree. And that's true. I can vouch for that. She needs time alone to process her thoughts. She doesn't want anyone to interfere. Sometimes when we go silent, sometimes there will be occasions. It's not always when it's at the end of a relationship. So I don't want men to think, oh, my wife's gone quiet. I wonder what she's thinking. I wonder what I've done wrong. It's the period of silence. Like I said, 72 hours is quite a healthy silence, 3 days. But once it goes over then you have to think, what's happening with our relationship? Because beyond 72 hours, you've had time to think. You've had time to kind of realize that you've probably overreacted. And you've got time to think, well, yeah. And you should start missing your spouse by that time. After 72 hours of silence and you love that person, you will start missing them. So I think 72 hours is a healthy time scale. So like I said, some people can be happy in silence. So not every time a woman goes silent, she's unhappy or she's scheming. Sometimes she's at peace. Sometimes she's just at peace. But if you know that it's because she trusted you and you let her down, and then she goes silent, then that might be a problem. But once again, depends on the individual. Depends on how assured she is. Because some women, they don't go silent. They just ready to lash out. And like I said, guys, if a woman lashes it out at you, you better be grateful and thank your lucky stars. Because it means she still cares. When she rants and raves and cuss you out, it means she still cares because you need emotion to get angry, to cuss, and to do all of that stuff. You need emotion. And emotion only comes when you care about something, when you're passionate about something. So like I said, as long as she's ranting and raving, regardless of what you've done, she's ranting and raving, she still loves you. So when she goes silent, so don't get too complacent when she's ranting and raving. You still need to take that on board, that she still cares. But the thing is, if you overdo it, if you do it too much, and then she starts going silent, that's when you've got to worry. Women are quite forgiving, really. I think they are. So you can misbehave, for want of a better word, a couple of times, but you overdo it and you don't listen to when she's telling you stuff. And she starts getting silent and thinks, well, that's a waste of time. It's a waste of my energy. I can't be bothered to tell him that anymore. Look how many times I've said that to him and he's ignoring me. And then she goes silent. She's thinking, is it worth it? Is this what I want? And then, while she's thinking all of that, you could do something and switch it all around and it could change everything. And you take it in, and everything's back to normal. But it's all timing. It's just about not allowing her to fester for too long, trying to put things right. When she's going through that thinking phase, don't leave her too long. Try to put it right. If a woman cares, she'll argue. Men need to be able to engage a woman's emotions, and that's what I mean. As long as you can engage her emotions, you're fine. And I also say, if you haven't got a life outside of her, you'll get the silent treatment. Some men, they haven't got they've got no interest outside the woman, and she will get frustrated and she will get, bored if you're just literally on the couch watching TV and you don't have any interest. She'll reach a stage where she'll say, bloody hell, man, I just can't be asked. Not doing anything, day in, day out, sitting on the couch watching TV. It's not an attractive quality, and she will get bored. So, just to recap, when men go silent, when women go silent, it's opposite to men who use it for power and control. They become evasive, monosyllabic, and they could take, or monosyllabic. Women use it to take a break. It's a coping skill. Absence of communication can be devastating if you can hurt more than, absence of communication can be devastating. It can hurt more than words. So yes, silence can be painful. I remember when I used to be at work and I used to go silent for whatever reason, and you could cut the atmosphere with a knife. Some people can go silent and you don't even know that they've gone silent. Other people can go silent and you feel it. That's how powerful silence is. So, like I said, it's to prevent a resolution. It's an assault against the ego if the victim stood up to him. It can cause physical pain. It only works if you are hurt. Humans crave approval and acceptance. And that's a problem. As humans, we do. We crave approval and acceptance. And can you imagine? You want so much to be accepted and you want your partner to approve, and they just literally behave as though you don't exist. Not nice. So what's the resolution? The resolution is not to react in the silent treatment. And that is literally just get on with your life. Just do whatever it is you normally do. Do not get caught up in it. Don't make excuses. Don't self-reflect. Don't start thinking about what you should have said from what you shouldn't. Because when that silent treatment goes beyond 72 hours, it's cruelty. So once it's reached to the point of cruelty and you know that person is being deliberately obstructive, that is the point where you say, look, enough is enough. I'm going to look after myself. I'm going to do what I need to do. I'm going to get on with my stuff. And if he wants to ignore me, fine. And you place your boundaries and you are responsible for how you feel. So you don't let the person who's giving you the silent treatment take control of you and how you feel. You are responsible for how you feel. So you play them at their own game. Give them the silent treatment back. They don't like that because they're supposed to be it, aren't they? They're supposed to be the powerhouse. You're not supposed to ignore them. They're supposed to be ignoring you. You ignore them, they don't like it. They don't like their own medicine. Do not try to rescue them. Do not apologize. Do not waste your time or your emotional energy on trying to put it right. And that is after the 72 hours. And no reaction. And the silence will end. So, for any of you, I hope you found that useful. If you've been in a situation where somebody's put you through the silent treatment and you didn't know how to manage it and it's really making you feel like crap, I hope this video will help you get through it. Okay, and that's all for now. Bye bye.